Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're tackling a really tough question. What turns a person into a monster? And we're going to do that by deconstructing one of the most chilling villains on TV, Brady Hartsfield from Mr. Mercedes.
So the whole story kicks off with this just act of absolute horror. A stolen Mercedes, right? It just plows into a crowd of people at a job fair. 16 people dead. It's pure carnage, and it's what kicks off this incredibly dark and twisted story.
But here's the thing. This was not an accident, not even close. The source material is, well, it's chillingly clear about it. This was a calculated, deliberate act. This was a cunning, sadistic killer at work.
And an act of pure evil like that, it just forces you to ask the big question, right? It's the central question of the whole series, and it's what we're digging into today. How does a person become a monster? I mean, what could possibly create someone like the Mercedes killer?
Okay, so to even begin to answer that, we have to look past the killer and look at the man. Because really, to get Brady Hartsfield, you have to understand that there are these two completely conflicting sides to his life.
Yeah, on one side, you've got the monster we see in public. Cunning, sadistic, absolutely remorseless. But then you pull back the curtain, you go behind closed doors, and you see the son resentful, manipulated, and just completely trapped in this web of dependency.
And you know, to really get a handle on the killer, we have to investigate the son. And that investigation, it leads us straight to the single most influential person in his entire life, his mother, Deborah. The way his home life is described is just, it's this incredibly powerful metaphor. It wasn't just dysfunctional, no, it was a domestic engine. Think about that, like an active factory, just constantly churning out his psychosis, piece by painful piece. And this is the foundation of that engine. So, after a family tragedy, Brady's mom, Deborah, she just spirals into alcoholism. She becomes manipulative, emotionally predatory, and completely, utterly dependent on him. Every healthy boundary you can imagine between a parent and a child, gone, totally blurred. So let's look at how this all builds up. Because this toxic environment, it did more than just create dysfunction. It set up a very specific, very destructive pattern of psychological abuse. You know, there's actually a clinical term for their relationship. It's called coercive maternal seduction. And it is a deeply, deeply disturbing dynamic. It's this toxic mix of emotional manipulation and really inappropriate intimacy. And it just completely destroyed his ability to form healthy bonds with anyone else. And look, this wasn't something that happened once in a while. It was a relentless cycle. First, Deborah undermines his autonomy. Then she manipulates him with guilt and dependency. Brady, for his part, resents her like crazy, but he's trapped, he's still dependent. And the whole thing just repeats over and over and over, just grinding away at his mind. So the crucial point here is that this wasn't just abuse. It was this warped, codependent bond. And it's captured so perfectly in this haunting line from the series. This is how she kept him tied to her. It wasn't love. It was this twisted kind of affection that was built entirely on fear and isolation. Now, you'd think, right? You'd think that the end of this relationship, her death, would be a release for Brady, maybe even a chance at freedom. But it was the exact opposite. Her death wasn't a release at all. It was the final snap. It completely severed his only emotional anchor to the world. So instead of freeing him, it just sent him spiraling deeper and deeper into psychosis. And that's what set the stage for his violence to escalate, dramatically. And all this deep-seated trauma, it didn't just stay locked away in the basement with him, oh no. It bled out into the world. It came to define his twisted conflict with everyone he came into contact with, but especially with Detective Bill Hodges. This quote from his mother, wow, it is so telling. The very space where he was planning all these horrible things, his basement lair, it was completely intertwined with her manipulative presence. I mean, even after she's dead and gone, she's like a ghost haunting his every single move. And that right there, that's why the central conflict of the series isn't just some simple cat and mouse game. It is full-on psychological warfare. For Detective Hodges, sure, it's about obsession and justice. But for Brady, This is just an extension of the same manipulation and trauma that has defined his entire life. So, what you should really take away from this is that the story of the Mercedes killer isn't just about a monster. It's a chilling exploration of how a monster is made. It forces us to look past the horrible act itself and really examine the devastating process that created him. And it leaves us with one deeply unsettling question. Are monsters born or are they built?